Welcome to another episode of NFHS Now. I'm your host, John Gillis. It is my great pleasure to have as our guest today, Dr. Timothy McGuine of the University of Wisconsin. Dr. McGuine, I'd like to welcome you to the program.
Thanks for having me.
To start things off, you created a report entitled The Impact of Sports Specialization on Lower Extremity Injury Rates in High School Athletes. One of the things I read in it is that specialized athletes generally had higher injury rates. Could you speak to that for us, please?
Yes, we did a study, the first of its kind study, and it's actually funded by the NFHS, and it looked at how sports specialization could impact lower extremity injuries. And we found basically that athletes that specialize or tend to specialize more had a much higher percentage of lower extremity injuries. They had more sprains, more fractures, more ligament, tendonitis type things. And we thought that this is very interesting because while we had thought that this might be the case, this is the first case to actually document this going on in high school athletes, and the impact is pretty significant.
I remember back when I was in high school, it seemed like virtually everybody participated in multiple sports. Yet one of the findings of your report is that 34% of high school athletes today specialize in a single sport. How should we feel about that?
Well, I think it has ramifications for a couple of different reasons. First off, if we have athletes participating in a single sport, they put themselves at risk because their body function, the biomechanics, et cetera, are repetitive. They use the same body parts again and again and again in the same manner, leading them to injury. The other thing we're finding is that by excluding or shunting some kids into one area, we're also excluding a large percentage of athletes that may have that opportunity. We have athletes feeling that if they don't specialize, they might not even go out for the varsity sport, so they shouldn't do that. And so we're really, from two aspects, not just the injury aspect, but from the social aspect of sports in general and the good things they offer kids. I think we're leaving those to the side. That kids that can't take part in multiple sports aren't going to be able to do that.
Another finding was 40% of high school students participate in club sports outside the school setting. Two questions. What effect does that have, and can benefits be derived from that?
Well, interestingly, yeah, we did find that. Actually, we found a little higher. Almost 50% of the kids participated in a club sport. I think this is significant for a couple of reasons. We spend a great deal of time and energy with legislative issues, association rules regarding medical care for athletes in high school settings. Unfortunately, those athletes, when they participate in those club sports, those club activities, don't seem to have that same level of care. And we worry about that. If they're going to participate in those sports outside the school setting, we have to ask from a social aspect or a healthcare aspect, how are they being treated? How are the injuries being prevented? How do we make sure repeat injuries don't occur in those situations? So that's a big concern. The other thing we're understanding is that there's an economic cost to that. And by having kids participate in a lot of club athletics, there are kids that don't have the means, or their families don't have the economic resources to pay for all those club activities. And so again, they'll be excluded from that.
Well, Dr. McGuine, I want to thank you. I know our viewers learned a lot listening to you, and I want to thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, that wraps up our show. Be sure to tune in next time. Until then, take care.